Archaeopteryx may not be a global star of the caliber of, say, Tyrannosaurus rex, but it undeniably has iconic status. Combining the feathered wings and wishbone of birds with the toothed jaws and long bony tails of reptiles, Archaeopteryx is a near perfect transitional fossil form. Since its discovery in 1861, it has been a captivating example in the case for evolution. It has been the cornerstone in the debate on the origin of birds and avian flight. Publishers and researchers have drawn on the structure of Archaeopteryx to formulate and evaluate hypotheses about birds. Although discoveries of other feathered dinosaurs from China have advanced our understanding of the evolutionary transition of birds, the Archaeopteryx fossils remain the oldest undisputed avian fossils and the most primitive. The Archaeopteryx fossils have been so rigorously inspected over the past 140 years, some scientists believe that we have learned all there is to know about these fascinating creatures. However, a research team led by Dominguez Alonso has gone back to the first fossil found to provide stirring new data on the brain and sense organs. The results have implications for the biology of Archaeopteryx and the evolutionary transition of birds. The research team isolated the part of the skull that in life encased the brain, so that it could then be analysed with high-resolution X-ray computer tomography and was then digitally reconstructed. Obtaining an understanding of the brain and sense organs is of top priority for paleontologists, as such knowledge can propose insight into the behaviour of extinct organisms not otherwise provided by the skeleton. In the case of Archaeopteryx, the question is, could the oldest known bird fly? Archaeopteryx's brain is much like that of birds today, although of a primitive sort. Its organisation is basically avian, with enhanced areas that are concerned with movement. The visual centres are enlarged, suggesting that Archaeopteryx was dependent on acute vision. The inner ear canals of Archaeopteryx are also much more like those of birds than modern-day reptiles, suggesting that agility and coordination of head and eye movements were critical. Dominguez Alonso and the team of researchers, after consideration of the digitally reconstructed brain, argue that Archaeopteryx basically had the right stuff from a neural standpoint for flight. However, putting aside these astounding discoveries presented by these experiments, various new questions arise that cannot be fully answered by these findings. For example, did all the avian neural components evolve together, or was this a fragmented process? Researchers will now race to the fossils of other early birds and bird-like theropods to look for the answers to these newly arisen questions. This latest in a long line of studies on Archaeopteryx affirms the iconic status of this fossil. We finally have reliable data on the brain and sense organs of the most primitive known bird, and so can document the neural transition of birds. This study shows yet again that it all begins and ends with Archaeopteryx.